Support comes from Helen Keller International. Millions of families around the world are at grave risk, but solutions are within reach. Helen Keller's proven cost-effective solutions reach children and families in greatest need. More on how to help at helenkellerintl.org/KUOW.
Each story you hear on Planet Money starts with a question. What happens if we refund tariffs? Why are groceries so expensive? At NPR, we stand for your right to be curious because the forces shaping our world can be hard to see. Follow NPR's Planet Money wherever you get your podcasts and start seeing how the economy really works.
It's a weird time to work in tech.
Meta employees are being told to work from home today. The company is laying off 10% of its staff.
This comes as the tech giant's moving to focus on artificial intelligence.
Microsoft is offering voluntary buyouts to some of its U.S. employees for the first time in the company's history. The move comes as Microsoft continues heavy investment in artificial intelligence and broader organizational shifts across its workforce.
That has some tech workers turning to fields they see as AI-proof.
All of the tech people are getting replaced by AI, and you can't replace us with AI yet, or ever. So my biggest advice would be to look at the trades. If I could go back, I would have done this right out of high school.
Today, we sit down with a laid-off tech worker who did what a lot of people are advising, went into the trades. This is Booming. I'm Monica Nicholsberg.
And I'm Joshua McNichols. So what's it like to go from white collar to blue? And what can it tell us about where the workforce is headed? That's coming up.
Support comes from Helen Keller International. Last year, nearly 84 million children and families received life-saving care from generous supporters, but the need remains urgent. Learn more about ways to help continue to build a healthier world for all at helenkellerintl.org/KUOW.
Each story you hear on Planet Money starts with a question. What happens if we refund tariffs? Why are groceries so expensive? At NPR, we stand for your right to be curious because the forces shaping our world can be hard to see. Follow NPR's Planet Money wherever you get your podcasts and start seeing how the economy really works.
This is not government work. As such, I treat it with care and attention.
Ron, what was wrong with that one?
It was too perfect. It looked machine-made.
Joshua, do you remember last year when I interviewed Brad Smith, Microsoft's president?
Yeah, of course.
It was right before they laid off 3% of their workforce in what eventually became one of several mass layoffs that year.
Yeah.
And he had this piece of advice for people who were worried that AI was going to replace their tech jobs that has always stuck with me. He was talking about the data center build-out and how a shortage of electricians and HVAC technicians was actually the thing holding tech companies back from building as fast as they wanted to.
Believe me, if you love working with electricity, there are really bright futures for people who want to be electricians or people who want to be plumbers. And that's one of the great things about our community colleges. They have courses, and our labor unions have apprenticeships. All of these things are opportunities for people.
It was just so striking. All of these well-paid tech workers are losing their jobs, maybe because of AI, maybe for other reasons. But either way, you have this tech executive saying, maybe you should just go into the trades.
Right.
And since our interview, AI has gotten even more powerful. We've seen hiring in tech slow down. Thousands more tech workers have lost their jobs. And the whole time I've been wondering if anyone was going to take Brad's advice.
Yeah. This is something you've reported on before, right?
Yeah, I did a story about how these trends seem to be influencing the career path that young people just starting out are choosing. One study I saw said enrollment in vocational programs is way up, like nearly 20% since the pandemic. Mm-hmm. At the same time, computer science enrollment is declining in most U.S. universities. But what I've been wondering about is people who already started careers in tech and then got laid off. And then I met someone who made this theoretical career pivot we've been talking about suddenly very real.
Who's that?
His name is Brett Burden. He's in his early 30s, and a few years before the pandemic, he took a job for a contractor that works for Microsoft. This is pretty common in tech. They've got these legions of workers who are technically employed by a third-party vendor, but effectively just work for the company. And I think I'll just let him tell you the rest of his story.
All right.
So to start, I wonder if you could just tell me why you decided to go into tech in the first place.
I loved computers from when I was a kid. I grew up playing video games. All of my friends were computer nerds. And I was kind of stuck at a dead-end retail job. And then a friend of mine had gotten a job at Microsoft. And he was a regular customer that came into my store. And he asked me, he said, "You're still into computers, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I just built a new one." And he asked if I wanted to potentially work as a vendor at Microsoft, and he set up an interview, and I got in.
What did it feel like when you got the job?
It felt awesome. It felt like I had finally gotten like a real big boy job that paid a lot more. Felt like real. I commuted. I went to an office. I had a badge. I was issued a computer. All this stuff. Like it felt real and big and important.
And what was your role exactly? Like, what was a typical day like?
I was a communications manager for the Azure cloud. And whenever it went down or there was a service interruption, we were the team that wrote the messaging of what happened. So we would jump on a call with all the software engineers and all of those kind of engineers, coders, stuff like that, that were assessing what was done. They would tell us what had happened and what they were doing to fix it. And we would translate that like tech jargon into like layman's terms and then publish that to Azure cloud users. So yeah, a lot of essentially translating geek speak into what normal people can understand. And it was fun when big events happened that we were such a crucial part of the team that like nothing could happen unless we were there because we had to inform the customer of what was going on. We had a lightning strike hit a data center in like Tennessee, I want to say. It was somewhere in the South. And that took out like half of the cloud computing in the US for like a couple hours. So that was insane. And it was like all hands on deck. It was fun. Yeah, it was mission critical stuff that we had to deal with for thousands of customers.
Wow. I think anybody who has tried to communicate with a business lately knows that automation is taking on a lot of that work.
Yeah.
Is that something that you saw on your team?
It was starting by the time I was there for like 2 or 3 years. And by the time I was leaving, it was becoming more and more common. We would hop on a call and we would have predetermined, if X was happening, then we had Y already ready to go. And we would just fill out like a quick form and then it would generate the body of the message. It was already like kind of pre-done. It automatically filled itself out and it was like, it became really boring.
Did you feel like you were training your AI replacement?
A little bit. It did learn the more we interacted with it, the faster it got, which on one end was great for our response times, but on the other end, it was like, okay, cool. Like you could see the writing on the wall was like, okay, this thing is coming in so that I eventually won't even need to be here to fill out the drop-down menus. It's just going to do it on its own. Instead of talking to someone like me, you would just escalate it directly through like an AI chatbot that would then get you in touch with what team was supposed to help. So just cutting out the middleman, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it gets at how hard it is to tell. All of us are hungry for data that shows AI has replaced X number of jobs, but it happens sort of in phases, and there are also other reasons. And even it sounds like from the inside, you're not really sure what role it's playing.
Yeah, it was tough to tell. Yeah.
Okay, and then walk me through the day that you were laid off.
Yeah, that was fun. I was laid off a couple months into the COVID pandemic.
I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah.
So did you immediately start looking for another similar job in tech?
Yeah, I started filing for unemployment right away, and I took like a week or two off just to kind of gather my thoughts. And then, Yeah, started working towards trying to get another tech job right off the bat, but then everything froze. There was just nobody hiring.
No doubt, 2020 will go down in history as one of the worst years economically. The pandemic closed businesses, some permanently, and put hundreds of thousands of people out of work.
I always joke with people that it was a really fun vacation for like a month and a half, 2 months, and then it started to suck.
The number of Americans filing for unemployment last week saw its biggest jump in U.S. history, a new record, 3.3 million filed.
And I watched Community and Firefly probably 10 times. Just sitting at home and not doing anything for a year was emotionally and mentally like really, really draining. At the end of that year unemployed, I found another tech job.
What was that job?
I was a program manager for the Office 365 suite.
Oh, for Microsoft.
Yeah. So it was another Microsoft vendor role. And then that was when, I want to say it was 2023, Microsoft, Meta, Google, Amazon, all of those companies, I think laid off around 10,000 FTEs, full-time people, all at once.
More holiday woes for the tech industry. The New York Times reporting that Amazon will lay off 10,000 workers starting this week.
Facebook's parent company Meta is the latest technology company hit hard by layoffs. Meta just announced it will cut 10,000 jobs.
Microsoft is the latest major tech company to cut costs by slashing jobs. The software giant announced it is eliminating 10,000 jobs, or nearly 5% of its workforce.
And what the news didn't cover was they also cut their vendor budgets, which meant my company had to cut a lot of their own jobs. And I was a team of one, and I was easy to get rid of because it was all work that could be absorbed.
So you were laid off again?
Yeah, laid off again.
Wow. So after 2 rounds of layoffs, I don't know, if I were in this guy Brett's situation, I'd be feeling pretty grim at that point. That's just tough.
It is tough, but it's also pretty common. Most of the people that I've interviewed over the past couple of years as I've been covering layoffs have been through it more than once.
Brutal.
Yeah. And the thing about Brett is he didn't graduate from college. He got into the industry at a time when they were so hungry for talent that you could sometimes squeak by without a degree. But by 2023, that environment had totally changed. Then all of a sudden, he's competing against thousands of other laid-off tech workers with more education and experience than him.
So what did he do?
He decided it was time to make a change. So you've gone through another layoff, and is there a light bulb moment when you decide, I need to find another career path?
Yeah, it was a buddy of mine also works in HVAC, and we were driving to another friend's house, I think for like a birthday party or something, and he had asked if working in the trades was something I had thought about. And I've always really liked working with my hands. I worked on cars with my dad when I was a kid. I built stuff in woodshop class. And so I thought like, oh yeah, man, I hadn't really thought about it, but I know he makes really good money. He really likes his job. Maybe it's something I can do. And he made a couple phone calls and got me in touch with the union and tested in, and now I'm here.
Were you nervous to pivot careers like this?
Absolutely. I was terrified. All I had really known was sitting in an office and working behind a keyboard, or sitting in my office at home and working behind a keyboard, and particularly being like really sedentary. Like I didn't leave my house. I would go hang out with friends, but I wouldn't for work leave. And so I'd put on like a ton of weight, and wasn't the healthiest eater, all this different stuff. And then to think about doing a job where I was going to need to climb 30, 40 foot ladders to work on a roof for 8 hours in the sun, or lift, 50, 60 pound compressors, or do all of this really physical labor, I was really scared that I wasn't going to be able to cut it.
That is so relatable. I mean, I think a lot of people who work white collar jobs would be anxious about trying to get into a trade, Like the skill set is so different.
Yeah.
I built houses when I was younger, but I'm soft now.
You don't think you could still do it?
Well, maybe I'd need to get in better shape again, I think.
Yeah, and in Brett's case, you also have to test into these trades. That was something that he was nervous about too. But he studied hard and he took it one step at a time. And then once you get into a union apprenticeship program, you get a lot of support. They hook you up with more experienced tradespeople, and they actually pay you while you learn the craft. Can you tell me about your first HVAC job? Like, walk me through it maybe as if I were a friend you were telling after work.
I thought it was really fun when I got my first tech job and they started giving me like tech equipment. But then when I got my first HVAC job, I got a van. So they gave me a car. They gave me a credit card to pay for gas. They gave me the van full of tools, a uniform, shirts, pants. All this stuff was like taken care of. And it was really, really cool. And I worked with a journeyman for the first like month or so. I just kind of tagged along as a helper to get the ropes, but it was doing a lot of maintenance, changing filters, checking electrical components, learning how to use like a multimeter, learning how to safely work on 15-foot ladders or 20-foot ladders or scissor lifts. I used to be worried about like accidentally running over my cat with my rolling chair, and now I'm worried about falling off a ladder or falling off a roof. So it's a little bit different, but it's still fun. As long as you're safe, you're okay.
What kind of customers does the company you're working for now do installations for?
We do a lot of new construction of pretty much any commercial building.
What about data centers?
We have a crew that almost exclusively works with the data center in Tukwila. And yeah, it's constant work for them. And I've helped out with them before, and it's insane to see all the stuff that's up on top of the data centers. I've been pulled off of my work down south to help them with work at the data center. And it's just constant.
Does that make you feel like more confident that you'll have a job?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's always a need to keep stuff either warm or cold. You always have to have airflow. And I'm not as worried as I was when I was in tech about maintaining my job.
Is part of why you went into this field because it feels less vulnerable to automation?
Absolutely. There is no way that there's a robot that can do what I do. Maybe 100 years in the future, 200 years in the future, they'll have some highly specialized drone that can do it. But we work in such ways that the only way to get it done is with a person, with a human being.
So Monica, can I interrupt here for just a quick question?
Yeah.
So Brett, it mentioned this crew working on the data center. I'm thinking about, we hear often with data centers, oh yeah, the work surges when it's being constructed and then it's over. Is this crew like continually working on an existing data center? Because if so, that would mean these jobs are more stable than I realized.
Yeah, so they're working on an existing data center in Tukwila. They're HVAC technicians, so these facilities need a lot of cooling power, and they've got HVAC systems that need to be maintained. The criticism about data centers that you often hear is just that the number of ongoing jobs is a small fraction of the number of construction jobs that they bring when one of these things is being built. It doesn't take that many workers to maintain them over time, but it does take some.
Huh. Okay, thanks for explaining that.
When you get home from work now, how does that feeling compare to logging off from your old job?
I'm a lot more satisfied. There's this really empowering sense of accomplishment of there was an issue and I fixed it and I can see it. Like fixing an issue on a computer is cool because you can see a program start working or servers come back online. But when you're working in HVAC or another trade, you can physically see like, okay, these people were roasting. It's a summer day and it's 110 degrees outside. This office, people are sweating. And now I've used like welding torches and built something and fixed a physical issue. And now all these people have like air conditioning or they have airflow or, now they have heating if it's the opposite in winter. It's like I can see and touch what I've done and what I've fixed. And there's real world like rewards for that.
I can see why that would be
Yeah.
really satisfying.
Yeah.
What about the financial side of it? How does the money compare?
It's a lot better.
Really?
Yeah. So when I first started in the trades, I took a pay cut of about $10 an hour. But within a couple years, I'm now making more than what I did when I worked in tech. And when I become a journeyman, I'll be making roughly double what I was making as a vendor at Microsoft.
Wow.
Being a part of the union and having union wages, being on the union pay scale and getting union benefits has been life-changing, legitimately life-changing, because I'm able to go to the doctor and get care.
That's really meaningful.
Yeah, it's awesome.
What career advice would you give young people if they were asking you what they should do?
I would say look into an apprenticeship. I went to college like 5 times. I dropped out like 4 or 5 times before I realized that maybe the trade, and then going through the tech world and then realizing the trades was really my best fit. I wish I had done that out of high school. There's always going to be a need for tradespeople. All of the tech people are getting replaced by AI, and you can't replace us with AI yet or ever. So my biggest advice would be to look at the trades. If I could go back, I would have done this right out of high school. I'm much more proud to be a union HVAC trades worker than I ever was to be a tech worker.
Well, Brett, I know that getting laid off can be a really hard thing to go through, and it's nice to hear that you've been able to turn it into a career that you're so happy with.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Taking a negative to a positive is really nice.
And thank you for sharing your story with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. It's been a lot of fun.
Taking negative to a positive is really nice. Sounds like a guy who really knows how to use a multimeter. So it sounds like making this jump from tech to the trades has really worked out well for Brett. I mean, he loves it. He's making more money. He feels like he has more job security. It almost makes me a little jealous. I mean, I love my job, but his joy is kind of contagious. So should everybody be doing this?
It has really worked out well for Brett, and I'm sure it would for others too, but not everyone. It's a really physical job, and that's not going to be for everybody. Also, some trades are more competitive than others. I've talked with a lot of folks in the electrician field, and it's hard to get into right now.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, construction of houses and offices has slowed way down.
Right. There's not a lot of work around here, and so a lot of electricians are traveling hours away to rural places where more data centers are being built.
Right.
That kind of lifestyle is not going to work for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, it is nice to live near your work. I hate long commutes.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
And even though Brett has managed to land a job that pays better than his last one, that's also not the case for everyone. Remember on a past episode, we talked to someone who had been laid off from his coding job and is now driving a Microsoft shuttle?
Yeah, I remember. That was such a dramatic change. I mean, he's driving people who used to be his peers.
Yeah, and he's making a lot less money than he used to. His family's savings are dwindling. These layoffs are definitely causing some people to fall off the career ladder.
So if I'm in tech or someone in my family is, which they are, how should I be thinking about all of this?
I think that Brett is a great example of the value of being flexible and willing to start over, to learn a new skill set. We're staring down a lot of uncertainty in the job market right now, and I think that people who can master that combination of flexibility and willingness to learn are going to be the ones who weather it the best.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing us this interview.
Yeah, it was really fun to talk to someone who's been laid off and not have it be a sad story. That's it for Booming. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, and let's tease an upcoming episode. We're thinking about AI agents and what they can do for you if you have a unique use of AI agents in your life, or a task that you consider rote that you would love an agent to complete for you. Email us at booming@kuow.org or leave us a voicemail at 206-221-7158.
And Booming is part of KUOW, the Seattle NPR station. We exist because of listener donations. So if you want to help us continue bringing you these stories, you can donate at kuow.org/booming. And thank you.
Our producers are Lucy Suchek and Alec Cowan. Our editor is Carol Smith. I'm Joshua McNichols.
I'm Monica Nicholsberg.
And we'll see you next time. Maybe we should leave the flub in there. The flub was kind of fun.
It's human. AI can't fake this.
Support comes from Helen Keller International. Last year, nearly 84 million children and families received life-saving care from generous supporters, but the need remains urgent. Learn more about ways to help continue to build a healthier world for all at helenkellerintl.org/KUOW.
You know, every day on Up First, NPR's Golden Globe-nominated morning news podcast, we bring you 3 essential stories. At the heart of each story are questions. What really happened? What really mattered? What happens next? At NPR, we stand for your right to be curious and to follow the facts. Follow Up First wherever you get your podcasts and start your day knowing what matters and why.